I'm Julia Darling, and this is Home Cooked Stories, a podcast about food, but not really about food. It's about legacy, culture, memory, identity, and what it means to live well in the middle of a full, beautiful, and imperfect life. Because food is never just about the food. Cozy on in. It has genuinely been a hot minute since we last sat down together like this. And I want to start just by acknowledging that because May is a lot. Like, if you know, you know. There is a reason why parents have started calling it May-cember. The end of this school year energy is unhinged. We have recitals and field trips, the end of the year presentations and graduations and class parties. And don't forget Teacher Appreciation Week. And while we're at it, let's just toss Mother's Day in there. There's just this huge sprint to the finish line, to the end of the school year. And most of us arrive at summer break already a little winded. I think I have honestly reached a point where I'm just like, you know what? Lean into the madness, sister. What's one more parent volunteer opportunity at this point? You know, I've already raised my hand to do two things. What's one more? Let's just throw it on in. So here we are, one more full week of school before summer break officially begins. And I want to be real with you. I usually have mixed feelings about summer break, and I love my kids, and I too love having them home in the summer. There's no rush to get them out of bed, to make school lunches, to get them out the door before 8 a.m. You know, we get to experience a little bit of that slow summer energy together. But I will tell you with full transparency that the prospect of 3 kids home full-time, while I am working full-time, you know, for the next 2.5 months for us to be doing this side by side in the same space is a complicated emotion. And I know there are parents out there that understand what I'm saying. Some days can be magical, and other days it is a war zone in this house. Like somebody looked at somebody the wrong way and a battle begins, or the Wi-Fi is slow. Everyone needs a snack at the same time. Or honestly, this happens. I'm on a Zoom call trying to look, you know, like a competent professional while someone is yelling for me in the background because they can't find the television remote. And that is summer with kids in the house. Mine are elementary and middle school ages now, and if you are in a similar season of life, you know the kids are on a break, but you are not necessarily. You know, the day job doesn't pause. The inbox does not get the memo that it's summer. And so we're managing this beautiful, chaotic, loud, joyful, exhausting thing called summer with your family, while also just being a functioning adult with responsibilities. And sometimes, even when summer is going great, it can just be a lot to hold. And yet, I do still feel genuine excitement around the summer season. Even if the schedule is harder, even if the noise level in my house goes up by about 40%, is something that changes in the air. Something that could be something if you let it and make space for it. I was talking to a friend recently, and she said something that made me go, I have never thought about it like that, but you know what? I think she's right. She was observing that most parents spend a lot of energy thinking about what their kids need in the summer, right? My kid needs structure and they need consistency, and we have to do camps so that they have enough activity. And she was making the point that in reality, it's really the adults that need the structure and the consistency. You know, we need to know what to expect, and we need a framework in which to navigate the day. We are not that different from our kids, honestly, and we just pretend to be more evolved about it. And so I thought that was a really interesting, and I find to be truthful way of looking at it. And in that same conversation, she kind of turned it back around on me and she asked, what do you want to get out of your summer break? And what's funny is I didn't really have to even think about it much when she asked that question, because coincidentally, I had already been asking myself the same question. So without hesitation, I said, presence and creativity. That's what I want. Now, I know when people talk about presence, it usually sounds like, oh, I want to put my phone down more and unplug, and I want to be fully in the moment with my family. I don't want to constantly multitask. And yes, of course, to all of those things, yes. But when I say I want presence and creativity this summer, I truly mean I want those things for myself. Because the honest reality of my day-to-day life is that I am generally operating in execution mode. I imagine most of us in this similar stage of life are. We get into a routine, we get efficient at it, we check the items off our list, we hit our deadlines, we show up on time, or sometimes, most of the time, I'm showing up, rolling in like hot on 3 wheels to a dance or a soccer practice because we're already 5 to 10 minutes late. And there is a lot of value in routine and consistency. But there's also something that quietly fades into the background when I am optimizing my time always for output. You stop daydreaming. You stop giving yourself permission to think about something with no agenda, no deliverable. We're not adding another thing to our to-do list. There's been several episodes on this podcast where the very thing we encourage and want to cultivate in our kids' lives, for example, a 1990s childhood, the courage and curiosity to try new things just because, and to enjoy the benefits of a slow summer, we as adults, I think, need these things just as much. The kids are going to try new things at camp this summer. They're going to sleep in. They're going to play outside after dinner until the streetlights come on and come home sweaty and happy with tons of grass stains on their clothes. They are fully and completely present in this moment in time the way kids in summer should be. And they are not thinking about what they should be producing. They're not thinking about how to better optimize their mornings. They are just in it. And I want that. I genuinely want a version of that for myself. So when I talk about wanting presence and creativity, I mean I want to be a sponge. I want to absorb things. I want to observe, like just mindlessly people watching. I want to go down rabbit holes on topics I'm curious about for no reason other than they are interesting to me. Because I want the in-between moments to feel spacious instead of like something I need to do to fill my time. Which brings me to why I am here today and what I want to tell you. I have decided to take a break from publishing new episodes this summer, and I will pick back up with new episodes in the fall once school is in session. We all need a break. Like genuinely, most of us check out a little in the summer, right? And we should. Our routines shift. I had to remind myself that the podcast isn't going anywhere. These conversations will still be here. But part of this podcast for me is documenting real life and what I am experiencing in the here and now. And I want to honor this season for what it is. And I think part of that means unplugging from social media, from recording, from the constant forward motion of creating and publishing, and feeling like I need to stay visible in order to stay relevant, because I don't think, I certainly hope that that's not true. And I'll be honest, I am just as aware that you probably need a break too. Summer has a way of reshuffling your routines, most often in the best way possible. Your listening habits change. Perhaps that quiet morning time that you have to enjoy your coffee and listen to a podcast gives way to sleeping in a little bit longer. That's a good thing. Enjoy that. There will be no shortage of content out there this summer telling you exactly what you should do with your time, what books to read this summer, what trips to take, how you need to plant a garden, host a dinner party, create a capsule wardrobe. You do not need another list. You really don't. And you certainly don't need another person's opinion on what will make you feel fulfilled or rested or inspired this summer. And sometimes the most useful thing someone can do is just not give you another thing to carry. And so I am not going to tell you what to do to make the most out of your summer. I am just going to ask you the same thoughtful question that someone asked me. What do you want to get out of your summer? Just for you. Let the answer come up the way that mine did, fast and honest. Because I bet if you listen to yourself, even for just a minute, you probably already know. And then do your best to actually give yourself those things. I'll be back in the fall with new episodes, new conversations, and who knows, maybe some new and different ways of bringing myself to the table. Thanks for being here. Thank you for listening, and enjoy your summer. That's it for today's episode of Home Cooked Stories. If something we talked about stuck with you, send it to someone who needs to hear it. Follow the show so you never miss a conversation. And if you have a minute, leave a rating and a review. It genuinely helps more people find their way to this table. I'll see you next time.